who certainly was one of the greatest abolitionists in the country. Born on the Bradish Plantation in Dorchester County, 1820, and she was very unhappy being an enslaved person. So she did what she needed to do to move forward to an area where she could be free. She did not just think of herself, but she wanted to bring others along to be free. Being in bondage was not a fun thing. And she felt that the farther north she would go, the safer she would be towards her freedom. And she did that. She came back south 19 times, and she helped to free over 300 enslaved people. And there are many opportunities that are being offered to give this kind of information to people about Harriet Tubman, who certainly was a smart person. She was not educated, but she had a lot of common sense. She was what we said. She had courage, she was committed, and she had character. And so we want to remember that about her. The church that we're going to is the old Orchard Street Church, which started in 1825 down on Saratoga Street, not far from here. And then in 1832 moved up to the present location. And it has a tunnel that certainly, looking at the Underground Railroad, the enslaved people had to really, right here. No, yeah, right here.
Turn right here?
Yes, turn right here. Speak two kinds of languages. Underground Railroad language to really deter the slave master from understanding what it was about, and then they had to speak the language that the master, no, keep on up. It's over to the left, you're almost there.
Oh, okay.
And so two people, freed slaves, Bradish Hall and Truman Pratt, were the two conductors here during that period of the Underground Railroad. And so we'll talk more about this when we get inside.
Oh, that must be it.
No, right? Keep doing that
Saratoga Street, and they moved to this location in 1837. And as the congregation grew, the church was rebuilt in 1859, and the latest addition to this church was 1882. When you go back, well, the door that you came in, you actually came in Orchard Street Church School. And that school dates back to 1838. Now, in the 1830s, whites had received public education in Baltimore City, but not African Americans. So free blacks attended the schools that were affiliated with the churches. So we're in the church building now. When you came out on this side of the elevator, this is the church. On the other side is the old school that you were in. And so that was a school for free blacks. But legend has it that this place was a part of the Underground Railroad. Because most of the congregation here was free, they still had family that was in bondage. And people would come to this neighborhood and they would blend in with this neighborhood. The only difference between what a slave looked like and the free blacks was that the free blacks dressed better. So when they came here, people would clean them up, give them clothes so they could blend in with this people of this neighborhood. You might have noticed the old houses here on this block that date back to the 1790s. And this is one of the oldest black communities in Baltimore City. And so this is where people would congregate. And the founder of this church was a man by the name of Truman Pratt. He was a former slave of John Eager House. He, along with a man by the name of Basil Hall, founded the church and the school. And both were conductors of the Underground Railroad. Later, you're going to go downstairs and you're going to see the legendary escape tunnel that was used by the fugitive slaves. But when I talk about the Underground Railroad, who's the person that comes to mind? Harriet Tubman. You know she's a native Marylander. And now at this time, I would like to present to you Harriet Tubman.
Go down, way down in Egypt land, tell old Pharaoh. Just want to tell you a little bit about myself. And they say I was born around March 10th in town of Madison in Dorchester County, Maryland. I was 9 out of 11 children born to Harriet Ross and Ben Green. And we was the property of Master Ed Broderson. Well, it was Master Broderson's policy to bring out the slaves. So my earliest recollection of slavery, I couldn't have been no more than 6, 7 years old when I was rented out to the likes of Master Cook and his wife to learn weaving. See, it was the policy of the house to make their own cloth, and while I was hired out to hold on to the yarn and make sure that it stayed straight for the missus. But I was young. Sometimes my mind wouldn't be on it, and I'd let the ball of yarn fall out of my hand, and well, the missus would get so upset she would grab that whip that she kept by the room, keep me away. She beat me so much sometimes I even learned how to put on extra clothes and cut down on the sleeve. Well, after a time, she says she's tired of it. She thinks I just be lazy, so she hands me over to the likes of Master Cook to set muskrat traps in the marshes. There I be sometimes, from sundown to sunup, watching those muskrat traps. I'd be out there alone. Well, I was just a baby and I was taken away from my mammy and my pappy, and I'd be scared, and I'd sit out in the marsh and I'd hum a little song there, and my mama would hum to me. I'd sing. So sometimes I feel like a mother's child. Sometimes I feel like a motherless child. Sometimes I feel like a motherless child. A long way from home. Well, I had been out in the marshes one time and had got right sick, and well, I told the master that I wasn't feeling right, and he just said I'd be lazy, and they beat me and they sent me back to my master. And no sooner than I was better that I was rented out to the likes of the Miss Susan. And not only was I to do the household tasks, but I was to take care of her colicky baby. And so there I be. All night, just rocking that crate back and forth and back and forth. And when I was just a child, and I fall off to sleep, only to be awakened to the wailing of that baby, the screaming of Miss Susan, and the sting of that whip. Well, after time, she too gets tired of me. She sends me on back to my master. Well, I wasn't rented out for a while. I could work in the fields. I like working in the fields. I could feel the sun on my skin and the wind against my face, and I had a feeling of freedom that I had never known. And I would get to work with my papa, and they would talk about the North Star and the Promised Land. And I said one day I would get there. Anyways, days I was out in the fields when I saw a slave start to step off. Well, I ain't never seen a slave try to run away before. I only seen them brought back with their ears all bent with leaves, but I seen the slave running through the cornfield, and all of a sudden the overseer sees him, and he chases out after them, and I chase out after them just to see what was going to happen. And well, the slave, he ducked through into the Bucktown store, and well, the overseer just know he had him trapped up in there. He said, Minty, catch him for me so I can tie him to a tree, because I can't have you niggas running up any old kind of way. I stands in the doorways and I let some good screw and I said, now you run down by the river and the dogs can't find you. Well, that overseer was so mad, he picked up a 2-pound weight, he tossed it out after the slave, and well, he missed him and cracked me in my skull, knocking me clean open. And I laid broken and bleeding for 12 hours. Nobody attended to me. Master could come by. He had brought a man by to sell me, but the man said I wasn't even worth 6 pence. So I started praying for my master, because I didn't tell him he was going to be sold and sit down silent. So I prayed to my master. I prayed to the Lord and I said, Lord, please ease my master's heart. The master, he still trying to sell me. So from Christmas to March, I worked as I could, and I'd be out in the fields, and I go over to the horse trough and I gather up some water and I wash my face and I said, Lord, if there be any sin in me, clean me now, Lord. Get the sweet in it. I say, Lord, if there be any hardness in me, sweep me out, Lord, sweep me. But the master, he's still trying to sell me. So I said, well, Lord, if you can't ease master's heart, then kill him. Get him out the way. Master died, just like he lived. But I said, Lord, I ain't mean all that. See, it ain't good to pray for somebody to die. But still in all, we had a brother master and that we didn't get sold for a while. I still had dreams of freedom, and the hit on my head made me in such a way that I could drop off to sleep at any minute, and I would hear tell that he was going to be sold, and I know that if I get on that line and go down south, they might find me on the road. If I lay there, they might kill me. Anyway, I tried to run away with my 2 brothers, but we weren't no more than 2 miles from the plantation before they was so scared that all we could do was to go back, and they wouldn't let me go by myself because they said I just don't want it. I kept saying that I had the right to 1 or 2 things, and that was to be free or die. And if I couldn't have one, I would have the other. Anyways, I guess I was about 24 when I met and married John Tubman. Oh, he was a pretty man. See, John was free through what they call manumission. His mammy and pappy was free when their master died, and so John was born free. But even though he'd be free, I'd still be a slave. Well, I could be sold away from John at any time. So I went to John one night and I said, John, come on. I hear tell that they gonna sell me and my 2 brothers down south. Let's go north where we can be free. Well, John said, well, I was already free. And woman, you acting crazy. If you keep talking about running away, I was gonna tell your master. So I said, next time I go alone. But at this time I was working and I was making my own money. I used to save it all up to try to buy my freedom. I remember I had put together $200 and I takes it to my master and he said, "What's that for, Harry?" And I said, "It's for my freedom, master." He laughed. He said, "Oh no, I need more than that. I need at least $1,000 for you." So it took me 2 years. Anyway, I went to look at my money one night and I found that John had taken on it. That says why he didn't come back home for a while. So I picked up a large blanket and I mosey on up the Chop Tank River to this house where this lady told me that if I was ever to find myself in trouble, I was to come down. So I did. So she lets me in and she gives me fresh clothes to put on and she gives me money, but she said I can only be there for 3 days. So she takes me to another lady's house and takes me to the house of Mr. Thomas Garrett over in Delaware. Well, Mr. Garrett, he packs me up in a wagon and he takes me up to the Pennsylvania line. I tell you, children, when I stepped on that Pennsylvania line, it was just when the sun was coming up, and so everything looked all golden to me, and trees and the river. And I said, this must be what freedom is, what heaven is like. Even had to look at my hands and feet to make sure I was still the same person. Even though I had all these good feelings, I was a stranger in a strange land. There was nobody here to greet me in this land. So I prayed to the Lord to show me a way that I can take and come back to Maryland and get my family and take them with me so they would know what freedom was like. So I made my way on over to Philadelphia, where I meet with Mr. William Still. He was the secretary of the Underground Railroad, and it was his task to let us know what was going on down south and how we could bring folk up for freedom and help us get jobs. Even got me a job in the hotel. I didn't mind working that hard, and all the money was my own. Anyways, one day I was at the Underground Railroad station, and I hear tell that my sister, her 2 children had been sold off, and that my brother-in-law was looking for somebody to help get them out of Maryland. Well, I tell Mr. Still that I knows how to do it, and he thinks that just because I was a woman, I don't know, but my papa told me all the things about working and moving around in the woods and how to live through it. So I said I'd do it. Anyways, one of my friends, they sent a note to the auctioneer with my brother-in-law saying that my sister and her 2 children had already been sold off, and he had come to pick them up and take them to the new master. Well, here they come, straight down the middle of Baltimore on a bright sunny day, and they meets me here, and I successfully get them all the way to Philadelphia. And after that, I comes back 19 more times, and I freed more than 300 of my family and friends. Even come back to get John, but I see he had already fired us up another while. Well, I thought about that for a minute. But it weren't worth my freedom. So I took 2 other people and we goes on up. And after a time, a number of years, my friends tell me it's getting too hard because there's like a $40,000 bond on my head, dead or alive. And that there's what they call a fugitive slave act that no runaways is safe in America no more. So now I've got to take folk all the way up to Canada. And my last trip, I took my mom and my papa. We settled down in a place called St. Catharines up in Canada. Stayed there for about 7 years, and then we moved on back down into a place called Albany, New York. But before all of this, I guess around 1860, I started telling that there's going to be a war to free slaves. Well, y'all knows I had to get in on that. So the governor of Massachusetts said, he had tell all my stories about what was going on down south, so he asked me that I want to join the Union Army. So I did. I had 9 men under me. But my first task was to teach the black slaves or the black soldiers what it meant to be free. That they could take on their own, that didn't have to be told what to do. And I had to teach the white soldiers how to work with the black soldiers. And my first major task, I was sent down to the South Carolina Islands to conquer the Confederacy down there, but by the time we get there, they were so beat up that all we had to do was just walk in and take them over. But as we were coming down the Comanche River, the slaves were all out in the fields working, and they started easing back because they didn't know who it was. But then somebody said that we was the Lincoln gunboats coming to free the slaves. Well, they come running out of the woods, out of the house, out of the field, into the river to get on these boats. And that day we freed more than 800 slaves. Took them 20 years to give me my pension. So, like I say, I don't go up and down the roads no more because I done got too old for that. But I want to share that there are things that you can find on the road. Say if you're going through town and a man, a white man goes on his ear, that lets you know that he's a friend. And you follow him to the same house. And if you're going through the woods and you see a quilt hanging on the line, it may tell you the next safe place to go or where you can find new clothes. And I just want to share this with you because I still keep this around as my souvenir to, let people know how I kept things in check. This is how I keep them. Because one allowed nobody to go back to the max. You can't have him tell him he is. Never had to use it. And as a conductor on the Underground Railroad, I have to say I never took the same way twice. Never ran off the tracks, and I ain't never lose a passage. So now as I walk through this world, I sing my song. Oh, freedom. Oh, freedom. Oh, freedom over me. And before I be a slave, I'll be buried in my grave and go home to my Lord and be free. Take you.
Out of character, and let me introduce you to the person who plays the role of Harriet Tubman. This is Margaret Locklear. Any questions about in character or out of character? You want to ask Harriet or Margaret?
Harriet, how'd you get the nickname Minty?
And I forgot I didn't share that. Araminta Ross was Harriet's slave name, or when she was born. She was named Araminta. And so Minty was short for Araminta. She changed her name to Harriet when she got married, and to be separated from her mother that kept her in connection.
Can you tell about getting the farm for Jennifer Sherman?
My farm, they turned it over. I can tell you a little bit about having to, feed. She fed her family. With that, she sold her whatever her goods were to survive and take care of her family, build a nursing home and VA, a place for old soldiers. Yes, ma'am.
I just took a ride up to New Freedom, Pennsylvania, and there were signs, and there's other towns. I just talk a little bit more about those towns.
Well, I know that the Department of Transportation has a route that Harriet supposedly took, and the plantation still exists, but then going up, 95, or in that direction, there are several places that she stopped. There were safe houses, especially along Pennsylvania and going on up into Connecticut, where she could find safe havens. Yes, ma'am.
Can you talk about the clothes and black?
I can't talk extensively about it. I do know that a lot of times they use quilts to tell stories or tell people where the next place to go. And so sometimes it would be the slaves who made them or those who had sympathy with the slaves, runaways. So, but there's a whole thing about the quilts and their play in the Underground Railroad.
Yes, are you a member of the Baltimore Arena class? And if not, what got you interested in doing this?
I started with the arena players when I was like 19 years old. So I still am part of that. I do things there periodically. But the living history is something that I started doing myself. I started out as a Sojourner Truth and ran her around for about 4 or 5 years. And then this particular role was run by Mrs. Verna Day, who did a wonderful job. And she's gone to be with the Lord. And so there were some pretty big shoes I had to fill. And so I've been taking her place ever since. So, yeah. And I'm also part of the Merlin Rio Circle, and I'm also a poet and a playwright. All right, and
All right, so you see some of the familiar faces. Linda Shadows,
congratulations.